Into the Valley. 3 long years. It's been 3 years, more or less, since the Imperial armies fought in the Barrens. 3 years since the Dru's treachery saw the Towers of Dawn fall, and the Orcs of the Malum spread their hegemony once again across the deep forests and bloody fields. Now the Empire has returned. From the north, out of the morass of Holberg, come the Golden Sun, and the Griffin's Pride, and the Hounds of Glory, with their Varushkan allies, the Golden Axe. From the south, up through the Tarn Valley, out of Farunin, come the other Varushkan armies, the Iron Helms and the Northern Eagle. With them are the Wolves of War, supported by great many Varushkan wagon raiders and sellswords, as well as the Temeshuari Bravos, keen to wrest some profit from the war against the Druj. Their strategy is simple: to cut the Barrens in half by seizing both the Carmine Fields and Hope's Rest. If they can take both regions, then the Druj will find it difficult to hold Dawnguard, Murderdale and the heart of Payet. Their armies will be restricted to the eastern half, to Bitterstrand and Saltmarsh, and to the untrod groves, to the Bleaks and the Plains Teeth. It is a risky strategy, however, for a number of reasons. It requires the Imperial forces to establish not one, but 2 beachheads in the territory. Unless one force conquers their target region, they will be unable to help the other. Each must contend with the defences of the Barrens alone. Worse, the entire territory labours under the influence of malign Druj magic. Not the familiar miasma of dread that infects other territories under the control of the Malum Orcs, but the equally familiar curse that infects all water in the territory with sickening, pestilential spring magic. The rivers in the Barrens are choked with poison, and even the water carried by the invading armies quickly acquires that slightly crimson tinge that marks it as accursed. Injuries fester. Wounds that might otherwise be serious but not life-threatening quickly drain out the life of those who do not receive immediate treatment. The soldiers of the Griffin's Pride and the Hounds of Glory fight with a supernatural clarity that allows them to make and execute strategy and tactical plans more effectively. The Wolves of War, as always, find it easy to incorporate the mercenaries and independent captains that fight under their banner into their common cause. Those 2,000 soldiers operate much more effectively under the guidance of the lead captains than they might alongside any other armies. And this season at least, it appears that the Imperial armies are the only ones in the territory. When the first Druj turn up, several thousand swift-moving warriors in leather masks and curved spears, the initial assumption is that they represent the true army. It quickly becomes apparent they are just the vanguard of the garrison of the citadel that rises in the east of the territory. The Towers of Dusk, as the Empire christened them long ago, were destroyed by thunder and lightning and the bravery of Imperial heroes. They have not only been rebuilt, but extensively reinforced. Crude battlements studded with spikes of metal and shaped bone glower over the plains of Teeth, and in their shadow, nothing grows. These Druj are further supported by the enchanted defences the Orcs favour. The forests of the Barrens are fat with deadly insects of unnatural size. The trees are inhabited by hateful spirits drawn from the spring realm, and with dreadful beasts that strike from the shadows without warning to carry away anyone who strays within their reach. For the Empire, travel through any overgrown area is impeded. The vegetation shifts when there is no one to see it, while the Druj move effortlessly through even the densest undergrowth. If the forests are bad, the marshes are even worse. Scouts report that the stagnant pools and salt flats of Saltmarsh teem with stealthy, flesh-hungry lizards, with pale, lambent-eyed orc spirits that mesmerize the unwary and lure them to their death, with shifting quagmires, with a dreadful low-lying fog that misdirects and confuses. Again, anyone who strays too close to the marsh ground in the Barrens risks falling afoul of these night-woven protective enchantments. A steel causeway. There are over 35,000 Imperial troops in the Barrens, and while the garrisons of the Towers of Dusk take every opportunity to use the advantage offered by the defensive enchantments, they are absolutely no match for the Empire. The problem the Imperials have is that they rarely, if ever, allow themselves to be lured into open battle, striking suddenly and then melting back into the untrod groves and the bleaks, almost before the Empire's armies know that they have been attacked. The weakness in their tactic is that they are only effective at slowing the Imperial advance, not stopping it. When a Dornish soldier suddenly stumbles and falls with a barbed arrow stuck in their shoulder, there is a Varushkan physic on their side almost before they hit the ground. When a League scout falls afoul of a deadfall, there are 2 Yo-folk on hand to drag them back to safety and ensure their wounds have not had time to fester. It would be a different matter if the Empire was fighting in woods or the marshlands, but the Carmine Fields are fertile grasslands, and while there are plenty of wooded coppices in Hope's Rest, a little caution ensures that they are unable to claim Imperial lives. The frustration of the Druge is almost palpable as the summer solstice nears. There are some deaths, but the casualties can be counted on fingers rather than tallied in the kind of grim butcher's bill that is so often the price of war against the Malum. Despite their growing anger though, the Malum forces are still able to make the Empire fight for every foot of land. The rough terrain in the south slows the advance, and while the strategies employed there are effective, they are not ideal for claiming territory. While the Wolves of War plunder the Druge garrisons and strike against the scattered Orc settlements in Hope's Rest and the nearby forests, the Ironhelms methodically make examples of every Druge warrior that falls into their hands. They are merciless, seeking every opportunity to trap and dispatch the Orc warriors, and the Druge know it. The steady progress made by the Northern Eagle particularly make up for the splintered focus. But by itself, it slowly becomes clear it will not be enough. By themselves, the 3 armies would have failed to claim Hope's Rest. Fortunately, they are not by themselves. The northern faction of the Empire's forces fight in open ground, the kind of fighting the Druge loathe, and the Dornish armies remember this territory well. With the Griffin's Pride and the Golden Axe in the vanguard, and with the Hounds of Glory and the Golden Sun grinding steadily forward, the Empire's advance proves irresistible. Defended camps are established across the region, and then the armies continue to push. The Druge defenders are caught between an anvil to the south and a steel hammer to the north, and left with the choice of being crushed or retreating. As the days become longer and the nights become shorter, and the summer sun rises triumphantly over the forests of the Barrens, the soldiers of the Northern Eagle and the Golden Axe greet one another in the foothills of Northern Hope's Rest. The Druge have failed. The Empire has driven a causeway right through the centre of the Barrens. Game information. The Empire's risky strategy has been successful. The Imperial forces have conquered the Carmine Fields and Hope's Rest. As per their stated intent, this means any army in the territory at the moment can leave either to the north or the south, into Holberg or Farunin, should they wish to do so. As a consequence, despite the presence of the Rivers Run Red curse, there has been no appreciable casualties among the Imperial armies. 2 of the armies involved in the assault undertook particularly notable orders. The Ironhelms have undertaken a merciless assault in the Barrens. This strategy is obvious to both their Imperial allies and to the Orcs of the Malum. The Wolves of War have undertaken a plunder action. The general will receive the gains thereof in their pack prior to the event. Thanks to the mandate enacted by Tobias Field during the summer solstice, any general can issue the triumphant charge order while campaigning in the Barrens. If any Dornish army issues orders to conduct a forced march to reach the Barrens, or attacks no matter what the cost while fighting here, then the option to order a triumphant charge will be available following the autumn equinox as well.